Hi, we're out on our range today, and once again, no, you haven't won a prize. That's a scam. Now, what we're doing today is evaluating some different types of high-performance ammunition that you may use for concealed carry in caliber 32 ACP. And before we go any farther than that, there's two things that I want to make clear. One, I am in no way encouraging or discouraging the use of a firearm in caliber 32 ACP for concealed carry. We're talking about 32 today because, two, so many people have contacted me asking me to do an evaluation of 32 ammo. Now, I've got a few types, and the reason I'm using these types of ammunitions is because these were the types that were available at my local stores. In fact, Lincoln City Sporting Goods in Lincoln City, Oregon was able to square me away with all of this ammo. Thank you. Now, in talking about different types of 32 ACP ammunition, traditionally, 32 ACP has always been a 71 grain projectile. Your Remington and Winchester full metal jacket round nose, both 71 grains. This PPU defense line ammunition is a 71 grain jacketed hollow point. The MagTech, 71 grain jacketed hollow point. But the Winchester Silver Tip and the Spear Gold Dot, these are both 60 grain jacketed hollow points. It'll be interesting to see how those stack up against the more traditional projectile weights. And the test gun I'm going to use today is my Beretta Model 3032 with a 2.5-inch barrel. I figured that's going to be typical of the size of 32 people are carrying for concealed carry. And it's the only handgun I own in caliber 32 ACP. So what we're going to do today is we'll do an accuracy comparison, we'll do some chronograph analysis, we'll shoot our meat target and see what kind of hollow point expansion we get. And then when we're done with that, I'll have a brief discussion on my evaluation of the validity of using a gun in caliber 32 ACP for concealed carry. So before you make any commentary about how much you love or how much you hate 32 ACP, wait for the discussion portion. Okay, let's go to the target. So I have a target set up and I'll shoot it from 10 yards with the Beretta 3032. And as a basis of comparison, I'll start by shooting the center target with the Remington green and white box, which has its 71 grain full metal jacket round nose. And we'll see how our other ammunitions compare to this standard. Okay, with our Remington ammunition, altogether not a bad group. Even these two shots that are low aren't really all that far off, and I think that represents my difficulty in seeing those really little sights. So with this standard, I'll go back 10 yards and shoot the target on your upper left with our PPUD ammunition. That's an abbreviation for PPU defense line. Let's see how I do with this. With our defense line ammunition, I fired 7 rounds. This is 2 hits. So a pretty good group, one that's off. This one that's way off is just me. And so we see a good group and not too much of a point of impact shift from our Remington ammunition. Now I'll shoot the target on your upper right with the MagTech ammunition with its 71 grain jacketed hollow point. So the MagTech ammo, still an okay group, and again, no significant point of impact shift. Now I'll shoot the target on your lower left with the Spear Gold Dot ammunition and its 60 grain jacketed hollow point. In evaluating the group with the speared gold dots, remember I fired 7 shots. This is not one of them. That's put on there by the manufacturer to show what an impact will look like. That was there before I started shooting. Okay, with our 7 shots, we see some stringing up and down. That's more me than the ammunition. But what we really see here is that with our 60 grain projectile, we still have a relatively good group and no significant shift in our point of impact. And finally, we'll shoot the target on your lower right with the Winchester Silvertip, which also has a 60 grain jacketed hollow point. Well, with our Winchester Silvertips, here's my first shot, but all the other shots were over here. Now that is a pretty good group, but not even close to where I was aiming. So, is this a point of impact shift because of the ammunition, or was I just standing wrong looking at the sights wrong? Let's shoot another group. And our second group of the Winchester Silvertips is not a bad group, but confirms our significant point of impact shift. Now we'll do some tedious chronograph analysis. And remember, this is an earplug case. I wear earplugs with every shot I take. Also, I leave this part in because so many people ask me to. If you find the chronograph segment tedious, I invite you to fast forward to the part where you see me standing next to the chart with the numbers on it. Okay, for those who are still here, the chronograph set up at 7 yards, and we'll start with, as a basis of comparison, the Remington green and white box with the 71 grain round nose. 775. 787. 812. 788. 788, and 775. Now, sometimes when you get readings that are the same reading twice in a row, it'll indicate that that's a duplicate. This didn't, so we'll throw out one of those 788s. Okay, let's try another ammo. And now our MagTech with a 71 grain jacketed hollow point. $763. 813. 813. 786. 777. 791. And 796, and again we'll throw out one of those duplicates. And now our PPU defense line, also with a 71 grain jacketed hollow point. $777. 786. 782. 794, 810, and 841. Let's try another type of ammo. And now our Spear Gold Dot with its 60 grain jacketed hollow point. $740. 758, 729, 731, 712, 717, and 690. Let's try one more type of ammo. And now our Winchester Silvertip with its 60 grain jacketed hollow point. .801, 816, 758, 813, 790, 775, and 814. Now, let's go crunch the numbers. Well, I crunched the numbers, and here they are, and it comes with the normal caveats that chronographs don't always agree with each other, and certain environmental factors like ambient temperature and elevation can affect chronograph results. And the results I got were, with the Remington green and white box with its 71 grain full metal jacket round nose, a mean velocity of 787. The MagTech with a 71 grain hollow point, 787. So we see that our carry ammunition isn't really any more powerful than our target ammunition. Now with the PPU defense line, also with a 71 grain hollow point, we got a mean velocity of 798. That's 11 feet per second more. Within the variation of one round to the next, not enough difference to make a difference. So we're seeing here that our performance carry ammunitions aren't really any more powerful than our target ammo. But when we get to our last two ammunitions on this list, remember they're a lighter bullet. With our Winchester Silvertip ammunition, we get a mean velocity of 795. That's only 8 feet per second more than our target ammo. Again, within the variation of one round to the next, not enough difference to make a difference. But it's a 60 grain projectile, not a 71, so it's significantly less powerful. And when we get to our Spear Gold Dot ammunition, a mean velocity of 725, that's 62 feet per second less than our target ammunition with a 60 grain projectile, not with the target ammunition's 71 grain projectile. The point of having the lighter projectile in your concealed carry type hollow points is to get that velocity up above expansion threshold. Hollow points are velocity based. The faster you propel them, the more expansion you'll get up to a point. If you propel them too slowly, you won't get any hollow point expansion. And calibers like 25 ACP and 32 ACP are generally pretty low velocity. A lot of times, whether they're reaching expansion threshold is questionable. So you go to a lighter bullet to get more velocity, but our lighter bullets are giving us less velocity. In one case, significantly less. However, as I've said so many times, these are just numbers on a page. How will this translate into effectiveness on the intended target? Let's put that to the test. To test the effectiveness of our ammunition, we're going to use our meat target. Now, for those who haven't seen it before, the meat target is leather couch skin, followed by pork steak, pectorals, pork ribs, a bag of oranges to simulate lung tissue, more pork ribs on the back, 4 layers of t-shirt on the front, 4 layers on the back, and the whole thing followed by the new and improved high-tech fleece bullet stop. And I'm going to shoot this from a distance of 7 yards with a Beretta 30-32, and we'll start with the Spear Gold Dot 60 grain jacketed hollow point. Well, I've got the meat target taken apart. The meat target just has 32 caliber holes in it. Damage to the orange lung tissue is mediocre. Ribs on the back of the target have 32 caliber holes in them. Of the 5 projectiles, 1 was stopped by the ribs on the back of the target. The other 4 were stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target. So we are seeing fairly good penetration. But what about hollow point expansion? Let's take a close-up look at the projectiles. And here's our 5 projectiles. 3 have no expansion. 1 is deformed just because it hit a rib. And 2 have mediocre expansion. Now I have a new meat target set up, and I'll shoot this from 7 yards with our Winchester Silvertip 60 grain jacketed hollow point. Let's see if we can do any better. Well, again, our meat target just has 32 caliber holes in it. The damage looks mediocre. And I've got 5 projectiles that were all stopped by either the t-shirt on the back of the target or by the first layer of fleece. Let's take a close-up look at them. And again, our hollow point expansion is minimal down to non-existent. This one that does have a little deformation, I think that was just from hitting a rib, not from any kind of expansion. Now let's shoot a meat target from 7 yards with our PPU Defense Line 71 grain jacketed hollow point and see how we do. Well, I have the meat target taken apart, and we see mediocre damage. Of our 5 projectiles, 3 were stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target, 1 was stopped by the ribs on the back of the target, and 1 was stopped in this orange, and it's the only orange that we see has some significant damage because that was the only hollow point that had any significant expansion. Let's take a close-up look at our projectiles. And here's our projectiles. Here's the only one that had any kind of hollow point expansion, and that was stuck in the orange lung tissue. These others have what appears to be some deformation, but again, I'm going to say that's from hitting ribs. And then a couple of them just have no expansion at all. Okay, one more meat target. I'll shoot this meat target from 7 yards with our MagTech 71 grain jacketed hollow point, and let's see what kind of results we get. Well, I recovered our projectiles. We had 4 projectiles stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target. 1 was stopped by the first layer of fleece. Let's take a close-up look at them. And here they are. We have 1 with a little bit of deformation. Again, I'm going to say that's a result of hitting a rib. The rest, the expansion is minimal to non-existent. I didn't have to take the meat target apart because we can take it as axiomatic that this damage is going to be exactly like the damage we got from all the other non-expanding hollow point projectiles. So the takeaways from all of this. Well, all of our 32 ACP hollow points performed in a manner that I'm going to say at best was disappointing. At worst, terrible, abysmal. I'm sure there's other adjectives we could use. The chronograph showed us that our hyper ammunitions didn't really have any more velocity than our target ammunition did. And because none of our hollow points expanded in any way that you could call satisfactory or consistently, I'm going to say that you wouldn't really get any more effect out of those hollow points than you would out of just the 71 grain full metal jacket round nose of the target ammunition. Add to that the factor that those hyper ammunitions are a whole lot more expensive and more difficult to find at stores than the target ammunition. I'm going to say that if I were going to carry a pistol in caliber 32 ACP, I would just load it with Remington Green and White Box or Winchester White Box 71 grain full metal jacket round nose. Now when I say that, a question has to come up as, why didn't our hollow points expand? Okay, the first thing I would tell you is we have a presentation specifically on that subject. You can watch that for the long version. But the short version is it has to do with testing protocols or lack thereof and just reasons of the marketplace. Sometimes manufacturers will load a particular cartridge with a hollow point projectile not having tested it sufficiently, and sometimes sadly they know that their performance is going to be mediocre or very poor, and they just load it with that and give it a cool name and sell it to you for reasons of the marketplace. Okay. Now something I want to add to this is we should not change the courses of our lives based on the results that I got here today with these ammunitions and this pistol. Good science is verifiable, falsifiable, and repeatable. We would hope that other people in this format will do other testing with other types of 32 ACP, with other handguns, and we can look at a bunch of different results and have a better big picture. But until then, 32 ACP is not what I'm going to carry, and if it were my only choice, I'd just go with target ammo. Okay, that having been said, at the beginning I mentioned that at the end of the presentation I would have a discussion about my evaluation of the validity of 32 ACP as a concealed carry caliber. Well, today's results show why it is probably my least liked handgun cartridge among the mainstream things that you would actually see people using these days. Because although it is more powerful than calibers like 22 or 25, it's not enough more to matter. Now, we have presentations where we're comparing 25 and 32, comparing 22 and 25, and shooting different types of 380 ACP ammunition. And we have a lot of material on this, so I don't have to rehash all of that today, but I do want to give you the, as short as I can make it, short version. And it goes like this. If you're carrying a genuinely small pistol, an auto-loading pistol, that's going to fit in your pocket like this Ruger LCP, something that's really convenient to carry like that. There's many different calibers, but there's 4 that I would consider the most common, and that is 22 long rifle, 25 ACP, 32 ACP, and 380 ACP. And those all have some advantages and disadvantages. So let me go through this as concisely as I can, which might not be very concise. We have presentations comparing 22 and 25. If you've ever looked at a ballistics chart, you know that 22 long rifle is a lot more powerful than 25, but you have to look at the fine print. The test gun they used for 25 is almost always a very small handgun with a 2.5 or 3-inch barrel, as where the test gun for 22 long rifle is typically a rifle. And even when it's a handgun, it's usually a handgun with something like a 6-inch barrel. So the comparison in the chart is not in any way fair. But when I have compared 22 side by side with 25, both in pocket guns, what I've found is that the power I get is really pretty close. It'll depend on your firearm and ammunition choices. So although 22 has the advantage of right now in the marketplace, it's a whole lot more available and a whole lot less expensive than 25, 25 has the advantage of being center fire, so it can be a little more reliable. And when I've shot pocket guns in 25 ACP, I find that the number of malfunctions I get is a lot less than pocket guns in caliber 22 long rifle. So given the choice, I probably wouldn't carry either, but given the choice between 22 and 25, I'd go with 25. Now, comparing 25 and 32. You've heard the saying, twice nothing is still nothing. 32 is more powerful than 25, but as we saw here today, we're not getting any better hollow point expansion out of it. We're not really getting a lot better penetration, maybe a little, so I'm going to say it's not enough more powerful to make a difference. However, look at the guns that shoot 32. Now here's your Ruger LCP and 380 ACP, and here's the Beretta 3032 in caliber 32 ACP. And you can see that the 380 is a little longer, but it's also thinner. When you get right down to it, it is not significantly bigger. But if I were to have an auto-loading pistol in caliber 25 ACP, here's a baby Browning, and this is an auto-loading pistol with a 6-shot magazine. And you can see that it is a lot smaller than this 32. So you're giving away the convenience that a lot of 25s can give you to get more power, but you're getting a lot bulkier handgun. And with that bulkier handgun, the power you're getting is, in my opinion, not enough more power to justify it. Given the choice, most people will go with a 380. There's a lot of 380s out there that are really pretty small. There's a lot of good 380 ACP ammunition out there that will give you hollow point expansion in short barrels like this. Granted, there's a lot that won't, so you have to be careful about your ammunition selection. But 380 is, last I checked, more common than 32, less expensive than 32, and you've got a whole lot better chance of having good hollow point expansion with a 380 than 32, and the gun is not significantly bigger. So in my opinion, and this is nothing more than my opinion, of all the handgun calibers out there that people would carry for concealed carry, and I don't mean strange stuff like 38 pinfire, I mean, of the mainstream stuff you typically see, 32 ACP, I have to say, is my least favorite, least liked caliber. If it is your favorite, then I hope you find some good ammunition for it. So as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching our 32 ACP concealed carry hollow point ammunition video.